Hello, everyone talk.
Oh, that's much louder now.
Oh. And what up, guys? It's your boy, Josh, and I am here with my other fellow Icemen, Alex.
Hello.
And Colin.
What's up?
And we're also joined by a reoccurring guest. His name is Charlie. You may have met him from the movie episode. Charlie, why don't you just do another little hello?
What's up?
Also goes by Chuck.
Welcome back, Chuck. Yep.
Anything changed in your life from the last time you were on this podcast?
I've risen to immense fame since my last appearance on the podcast. It really thrust me into the limelight.
He got thrusted hard.
We would 10 million on TikTok,
10 million,
100 million on Facebook.
We wouldn't have done it if we knew you couldn't handle it. But we knew you could. We knew you were ready for it. So
yeah.
You're the number one most famous person on Threads.
Yep.
You abused that platform as well.
Oh yeah. Love Threads. Big Threads guy.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, we are hopping back into the podcast wave. We have been having a very groovy summer. We've been kicking it the past few weeks. We went to Outer Banks literally last week. That was a hoot, as they say.
Hoot and a holler.
And
hoot and a holler.
Yeah, we hope you guys have had a good summer. This will be, and it is now, and it will be for the future, the first episode of Season 2. We are live for Season 2.
Wow.
Yeah, let's get some snaps in there. We made it big time.
No way.
Yeah, y'all are gonna hear these snaps. They're loud. If you hear them, then DM us Brick. Just Brick.
Yeah.
So we wanted to kick off Season 2 with a banger, and it is July 22nd, and I think you guys know what dropped on July 21st, 2023. And it goes by Oppenheimer, and then there's also a twin, and it goes by Barbie.
I wasn't going to say it was just a movie. It was more of a nuke.
Oh, yeah. So we, of course, being the cinephiles we are, we invested in expensive, well, not expensive, but more than they should be, cost of movie tickets at the Mall of Georgia for the IMAX experience. And I think we can all agree that it was definitely worth the money.
It was worth it.
Oh, easily.
Yep, 70 millimeter. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of only 19 theaters in the country.
We watched,
30 in the world.
We watched
second biggest
Oppenheimer.
in America.
Yeah, that's right.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
We found. Did you tell me that, Colin?
Yeah, it was the biggest, and then they built a bigger one in Indiana.
Dude, and I was like,
Fuck those
Indiana
guys.
should have no
for
rights.
real.
Like, they have no right to have the biggest.
They should have no.
They don't do anything in Indiana. If you're from
It's
Indiana,
a lawless state.
if you're from Indiana and you're listening, just comment what you do somewhere on our DMs, maybe.
Probably play basketball. It's like the only thing they do there.
Yeah.
It's
They got
literally
the Colts.
nothing but like fields and basketball hoops.
But if you're from Indiana, we love you. We love you so much.
Nah.
So-
Shout out.
Spoiler.
Once you tear down the theater, we'll like you guys.
Spoiler alert! This episode will have spoilers. So if you we will try not to do too many spoilers, but I think just talking about the movie.
We're gonna be all spoilers.
I think to get the most.
We're not going to talk
fruitful-
about like the entire plot of each movie.
But to get the most, fruitful discussion, I think it's best to just go right into it.
Oh yeah.
And
That's why I'm giving you guys a fair warning to, if you haven't seen either of these two movies, what are you doing? Because it's been a month by the time we release this.
Yeah.
You should watch them.
If you know nothing about American history, this Oppenheimer discussion is really going to teach you some things. So
we're educational as well as
exactly.
providing that outlook of podcasters that we strive to be. So
I certainly learned a lot. I didn't know anything about Oppenheimer.
Me too.
I knew very little about Oppenheimer. I mean, there's that book that my dad actually read the book, but I have not read it. American Prometheus.
Yeah.
But I have not read that book, and I think what we were taught in school was just not correct. So
It didn't go into as much detail for sure.
Yeah, they try to just give you the basic facts and then move on to more important things. But
it's all propaganda, anyways.
Yeah. So I think some of the things we're going to discuss. Maybe we'll talk about some of the hype, some of the build up to the movies. Talk about sort of how the movie's played out. The acting performances we're definitely going to mention, and then maybe some critics, maybe some outlooks for the future, and I think we'll close off after that. So I think we are ready to kick off season 2 in a explosive manner because we just watched a lot of explosions today.
3 hours worth of explosions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 2 more if you count Barbie as an explosion.
And then if you're counting the junk I ate today, there's another explosion in the bathroom that I
3
just had.
explosions.
Yeah.
So, all right, y'all. Who wants to? I mean, we're just gonna start off with Oppenheimer. We started the day with Oppenheimer. We ended with Barbie. So I feel like we should talk about it. What's the word? Chronologically. Thank you, Charlie. You awesome man. I figured we start off with Oppenheimer and then just see what happens. So.
Yeah, that sounds good.
We can just go around and give like initial ratings.
Initial ratings. You want to do ratings first? We can do ratings first.
We should do ratings at the end. Let's talk about it, and then we can talk about which ones we liked more.
As you guys can tell, we have we try to have a structure, but we kind of just talking on the spot.
Loose structure.
Yeah.
We're so
Right.
loose.
Does anyone want to start? Give their thoughts.
I mean, I'm leading it. I guess I should start, right?
Of course.
I'll just do a brief of what I thought. Christopher Nolan is my favorite director, so I had very high expectations. The trailer wasn't too revealing, so I didn't really know all that was going to happen. I was a little upset with one of the actors. We're all going to probably talk about this actor. But I thought that they could have utilized Florence Pugh in a better way, just to make her have more of an effect on the story and also on Oppenheimer, the main character. But I really enjoyed the cinematography, the score. The score was amazing. It was literally just flashbacks of Interstellar just in my head the whole time. Like on the transition scenes with it was showing like the city and everything, and it was just awesome. And I thought the dialogue was really well written. The characters they grabbed your attention right off the bat. Another critique I had was it was a little hard to track all the characters. They had such a big cast that you kind of get lost. They kind of all get lost in the shuffle. And, I mean, obviously until the end when you know more about them, but definitely at the start it was kind of just like who's this guy? Who's this girl? Oh, okay, they're that. And then you're like, oh, they're related to that. Oh, they're like in the Communist Party, whatever. But I really enjoyed it. Not my favorite of Christopher Nolan's, but we're not doing what my rating is yet, or can we just do it off the bat? You're thinking?
I was thinking maybe we could do it at the end, but I mean it's up to you.
After we discuss,
and ratings. We can maybe say which ones.
And we'll average our rating. We'll just average all 4.
Yeah, we can
let's do that. All right, well, that's my initial thoughts. I'm gonna turn it over to Alex.
Yeah, I seriously enjoyed this movie. I think the theater that we were in definitely contributed to how
100%,
good this film was. I'm a sucker for good sound quality, and just right off the bat when the movie started, they just threw us into complete explosion and hellfire, and the theater started to shake because of just the sheer quality and blunt force of the sound, and it tingled every notch within my body. I don't really know how to describe it. It just sent a wave down my body because of the quality of sound. The storyline, as Josh said, was extremely well written. I think the majority of it captured my attention and kept me intrigued. It was a 3-hour film, so it's hard to fill up a 3-hour space without downtime. But I think Christopher Nolan did it exceedingly well. I was a bit tired going into this. I had slept as much the night before, and I was not falling asleep during the movie. I was wide awake the whole time, completely enjoying myself. I think, there was a large cast of characters, but I think a lot of them, as the title of the movie says, it's named Oppenheimer. I think a lot of them were in the movie to not only just be their own independent character, but also just either contrast or exaggerate and highlight Oppenheimer's qualities and really give an introspective view into his life and everything he felt from the beginning of just creating theories about the bomb to working on the bomb, to having it as an actual like physical object, and then the dropping it and like the after effect. And I think that the film captured that in its entirety extremely well. The bomb, the build up to it was amazing. The scene, like we said, there's gonna be spoilers, so I'm just gonna talk about the movie.
That's fine.
The scene when the bomb was dropped, they had this like there was like a 15-minute build up just to like getting it prepared, getting it situated, and creating like all this tension between having the bomb dropped, and then as soon as they dropped it, it gave like a real life perspective of what it would be like to witness this bomb explode, because the first few seconds of the shot, they did it a bit slow-mo, but the first few seconds of the shot was just complete silence. Absolutely no sound besides for Oppenheimer just like having a steady breath. And then a few seconds passed, and all of a sudden it was just boom. The whole whole theater shook, and you could completely feel the impact of the bomb.
Light travels faster than sound.
It does.
They were far.
Well, the light was off instantly. It was just instant explosion.
Crazy.
And I think they wrapped it up extremely well. I thought when the bomb was going to be dropped that the movie was going to come to a conclusion within like a short period of time. But they did an exceedingly well job of not just making it about the bomb, but as like I said, like a look into Oppenheimer's life and everything that came with building it and dropping it and the after effects. So I thought it was visually stunning, auditorially like masterful, and I enjoyed
those
it. I was gonna drop a rating, but I don't want to. I'll save it.
I was also.
It was just about to flow out of me.
My rating may change over the course of this discussion.
That's why I wanted
I
to.
already have a rating. It might change.
I was a huge fan of this movie. I think technically, it's probably his most polished movie all around. Just looking through, the score was definitely something that stood out. Ludwig Göransson.
I had that pulled up on my phone
I
was going to shout him out too.
I've got the stat pulled up. He's been
I had no idea.
He's been composing his past few films. He did Tenet, and that might have actually been the only one he's done. But he did. He also did Black Panther and The Mandalorian.
That's interesting. The Mandalorian.
So
has a great score, dude.
instantly.
I mean, he's brilliant.
He's great.
He has a great. He's great at like combining like technical stuff, like techno and like electric stuff with like actual orchestral sound, and you hear that a lot throughout the movie.
Just like reverberating around the theater.
And I don't know if y'all noticed too, but there were like no breaks in music throughout the entire movie.
I did notice that.
There are like maybe 2 instances where the music stopped completely, one of them being when the bomb dropped. But for the most part, there was music throughout the entire thing, but it flowed so well with the movie that like it's almost like you didn't tell. Yeah. But it really helped in building tension.
That's like the big movie trick. I mean, most movies
and
actually.
Christopher Nolan is known for doing that. Yeah. Like Tenet's another movie where he plays music throughout like the entire thing.
Yeah.
Interstellar's pretty similar. He plays music throughout like the entire thing in the background.
Yeah, I
really catch on to that. Yeah. Like anytime they weren't like speaking, like just like visual.
Yeah, it was a lot of music. Yeah. It was. I only remember like 3 times I think when they like it was complete silence.
Yeah, it's good sound when you just don't notice it happening. It just kind of happens.
But it built tension, so it was like good in that sense too.
Yeah, no, it's awesome.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, I think you brought up the bomb scene. That's like everyone in the entire theater knows what's gonna happen. But I was still like, on the edge of my seat.
Dude,
the music swelling up with like the strings, where it's kind of like that. Like, that like build up, the pitch gets higher as it gets closer in the clock. Everyone's like nervous looking at the bomb.
It was scary.
It was scary. You have Josh Peck on the button.
Yeah, Josh Peck's character's like got his hand over the button to drop it. He's like shaking like about to press it on accident because his hand's shaking so much.
And it was scary. Like you said, Lattimore, like you don't know like when the sound was gonna hit you.
Yeah.
So I remember being like, oh my god, like in my seat tensed up, like when is it gonna hit? When is it gonna hit?
It was brilliant.
It wasn't just like a wave in the movie. It was like a wave in the theater.
Yeah.
You could feel the wave of the explosion.
And then like the wind that like got swept through the on the screen. I actually kind of felt a little bit of the wind.
It
was 4D.
Cinematography. Cinematographer was Hoyt van Hoytema. He's another guy he's brought in. He did Interstellar, Dunkirk, and Tenet. So I feel like they've just kind of gotten it down to a science.
He's got like the Avengers on his team.
Yeah, he's just got
the Infinity Stones
that he loves to put together.
He's got the same group of guys. Matt Damon too.
Oh, his actors are the same way. He has specific actors he loves to put in. And I think that they work so well together. The cast, I mean, you can't find a single bad performance in this movie. There's definitely underused.
Well,
I don't think there's a bad performance. I think there's underused actors, but I don't think anyone had a bad.
I agree with that.
I don't know, man.
I feel like that.
Einstein, man.
You thought Einstein was bad?
I just couldn't take him seriously. It wasn't bad.
I thought he was good.
Yeah, he wasn't bad.
I just kept looking at him, just laughing.
Yeah,
I was literally laughing when I was watching him.
Yeah, he was a little.
Yeah, but that was the whole purpose. That's how they wrote him.
Yeah,
because he was older at this point too, and like you mentioned in the movie, this was past his prime.
Yeah, but was he that like weird when he was that old in real life?
I mean,
There's no way, dude.
From the 2 times I met him,
a big one of the main reasons for like the black and white and the color in the film is that the black and white sections are mostly like from record, like stuff that's been recorded, and also like I guess it's supposed to be like Robert Downey Jr.'s character's perspective, and then the stuff in color is like what Oppenheimer is seeing, and he's describing early on in the movie that Einstein's like in the past.
Yeah.
Like he's past his prime, he's had his time. Mm-hmm. It's not about him anymore. And like you can sort of see that in the way that he's like addressed in the film. Mm-hmm. He's a very small part, and he's like Oppenheimer comes to him once or twice for some advice, but he doesn't want him to come help him.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he's like shown the way he is.
Even Einstein was like kind of passing on the torch to Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Because he was kind of like I've done my work.
Dude,
now it's you.
Some of the ways he just appeared in some of those shots, it was just like...
Well, that's not performance, though. That's just the way it was directed.
No, not performance. Yeah, just the way he was written as a character. I just
felt omnipotent, dude. He was just like a guiding soul.
Yeah, I'll briefly bring up my one critique, and then Charlie can give his thoughts. I do think that that Florence Pugh's character was definitely underused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She, you could take her entire portion of the film out, and the film would be just as good, in my opinion. If people have like looked online, you'll see that there's some sex scenes in the movie. It's not 15 minutes.
Yeah,
like
that was blasphemous. I got so excited. I was so excited to see it. It was like a minute. It was like 1 minute. Yeah,
but a couple minutes.
There's this one scene.
I don't even know if I can say it's a sex scene. You know?
Well, it's a sex scene.
Kind of.
There's a famous quote that Robert Oppenheimer got from Sanskrit.
Yeah.
And it's used multiple times in the movie, but he says, "I have become death, destroyer of worlds." And I kind of figured he was going to say it at some point in the movie. The way they bring it into the film, Florence Pugh is like nude in his room, and she pulls out a book and like shows it to his face. And then they're like having sex, and she's like, "Read the book." And he says the line. And that was maybe my one. I started audibly laughing in the theater.
Yeah, dude, there's no one took that seriously.
There's no way that just happened.
No one took that seriously.
Yeah. That's probably my one complaint. That portion definitely took me out of the movie a bit. I was sort of like waiting for that to get over with so we can move on to like the bomb
actual,
stuff.
The actual movie. Because she just did not really play a role in his life at all.
I agree.
Really none.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
Maybe she did more in real life, but in that movie, it was not depicted very well. I mean, really, it was just done so poorly. I feel like. But.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, y'all highlighted on a lot of big things that I agree with.
We're gonna keep talking about.
I think once you
I know.
Just start bouncing off.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I agree with y'all on a lot of everything. This movie was phenomenal in many aspects. Even though it was titled Oppenheimer and centered around Cillian Murphy playing Oppenheimer, I think that this story was more than just that, and it was the duality of going between Oppenheimer and then also Lewis Strauss. And in order for that to work, and in order for that to be a good movie, you had to have two phenomenal performances, and both Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. were phenomenal.
Yeah.
I mean, Downey Jr., I would argue, run away. I mean, I know we'll get into Barbie later with Ryan Gosling, but his performance as Best Supporting Actor was phenomenal. And one thing that I really appreciated at the beginning, and where I kind of I disagree with you on a certain extent as to why some was in color, some was black and white. To me, the color scenes were everything to do with Oppenheimer. If you remember at the beginning of the movie, one of the first scenes that you see Oppenheimer, they put up a title card and it's one fission. And I think, and then they go to black and white and it shows Robert Downey Jr.'s Strauss and it says 2 fusion. And I think there's a multitude of ways you can interpret that, but I noticed that to start and I was trying to, I kept that in my head and I was trying to pick up on things that happened in the movie that, related to that. Mm-hmm. One obvious thing is that with regards to fission and fusion, if you look up the difference, fission is what goes into an atomic bomb. Fusion is what goes into a hydrogen bomb, which makes sense regarding the characters because Oppenheimer develops the atomic bomb, and throughout the movie he interacts with Edward Teller, but throughout the movie Oppenheimer is opposed to him making the hydrogen bomb because, as he mentions, the destruction is greater and there's no real need for it in the war. Because, Japan is already sort of on the losing side. So that's why he's associated with fission. But then Strauss is associated with fusion because he was pushing for the use of nuclear arms. That's the whole thing. And the whole reason why he kind of ends up being the antagonist because Oppenheimer's speaking out against nuclear weapons. Yeah. But he is for them. And he wants the hydrogen bomb to be developed. And I'm not well versed in this historically, but I would assume that he had a lot to do with Teller developing the hydrogen bomb eventually throughout time. Yeah. And then another sort of thing, I looked up the definitions on Google just to get them exactly right. But one thing that I kind of associated with them too is, fission, it's you're breaking atoms, right? And you can kind of relate that to Oppenheimer's character in a sense where throughout the movie he kind of devolves, it seems like, and his character is kind of broken apart, and then by the end when they drop the bomb he's sort of oh shoot, we really made a mistake. Yeah. And you can kind of associate that with fission, whereas fusion, it has to do with nuclei combining, and I don't know, maybe that sort of conflict kind of goes with regard to Strauss and his sort of dividing nature and character.
Yeah, and mentally, Oppenheimer was just falling apart.
Yeah, and it was just, so that was one big thing, one detail I noticed that I tried to follow throughout the movie, and I thought was really interesting. So that's why I thought Oppenheimer's were in color, because it was related to him, whereas Strauss's was black and white.
Right, okay.
More so, because Oppenheimer testifies, and I'm pretty sure it's in color, those scenes. Which would have been on the record per se.
That's true.
So that's my opinion.
Wait, what did you say? I thought you said the same.
I was saying that the black and white scenes were stuff that were taken from historical record that were 100% factual, and then the color was from his head.
Did Christopher Nolan ever say did he confirm what they were? Or is it just up to interpretation?
I had thought that I had read before the movie came out. He said the black and white was objective. The color was subjective.
Okay. Well, that's true because also the trials that Oppenheimer went through were very subjective. They were very biased against him and designed for him to fail. So you're right. That could have been just played up for the movie. Yeah. And we don't know for sure. That's just how I interpreted it.
I mean, I like how there's multiple ways to interpret it.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more enjoyable to watch.
Well, it makes sense because they don't have an objective recount of his personal life,
Yeah.
So then they kind of have to subjectify his personal life.
Yeah, for sure.
I think both points of view make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One other detail that I was kind of talking to Josh about a little after the movie that I thought was a bit of foreshadowing with regards to Strauss's character was how one of the first times Oppenheimer and him, or the first time they interact, I believe, I don't remember exactly how the conversation goes, but basically Oppenheimer mispronounces his last name, and Strauss makes a joke I believe he says Strauss, and again, I could have it backwards, but Strauss ends up saying that, I don't go by that name, people just assume it's Strauss. And I think that sort of is a bit of foreshadowing for his character and sort of his snaky nature, where it's he doesn't kind of accept himself in a sense, he doesn't accept his heritage. He's more wishy-washy and kind of wants to appeal to other people. And that's how it seems throughout the end, when he's appealing to the Senate committee to try and get the cabinet position. So I thought that was kind of some cool foreshadowing.
It also could just be a foreshadowing of like their general disagreement on things.
Yeah,
like they just don't get along.
Yeah,
right. Because he could have. I mean, he probably says that to a lot of people, but he only included that. They only included that part of him saying it to Oppenheimer, which makes me think they just don't really have a lot of things in common, or they're just not the right like connection of people.
Yeah,
and so that could just also be it. But yeah, that dude, you caught some things that just went completely over my head.
I was really trying to pay attention hard. Like I was really locked in.
The intro with fusion and fission, I just forgot that. I mean, there's 3 hours.
I remember seeing the words, but I couldn't.
I saw them.
I love like when directors specifically use like title cards to kind of like designate like chapters in a movie, and that's kind of how he did it. Yeah, Wes Anderson, Tarantino's famous for doing that, like Inglourious Bastards and stuff. So I love that aspect of movies. So when I saw that, I was like, oh shoot, like that's sick. I'm gonna pick onto it, and then it kind of makes sense why it's like lined up like that in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then one other thing, I'll play devil's advocate in this too. I know that y'all were saying how y'all weren't biggest fans of Florence Pugh's character. I wasn't a huge fan of hers either. Like, I'd probably say she was like my least favorite. But to the defense of her character, I think that it really went to building up Oppenheimer's character and his sort of divisive nature. Like you were saying, Lattimore, how the whole movie is kind of centered around Oppenheimer, and a lot of the characters are ultimately just like showing different sides of him, almost with his interactions. I think that his interactions with her, it showed that like he was in love with her like the entire time until she ended up killing herself, and that that left him heartbroken, and it also left him conflicted and kind of mentally in sort of a bad state, and kind of led him into like mentally like spiraling towards the end of the movie when the bomb drops and stuff. So that's why I think like her purpose was, even though like again, I agree. The Sanskrit thing was really weird. I don't know why they did that. that was weird, and like I think she could have been used a bit better. But I wanted to like get that point out in like favor of her. To play like devil's advocate.
I respect that, but I still feel like if that was supposed to be such like an impactful character, then they should have developed that romance more, because I didn't feel any of the romantic tension between those two. There was like no background to them. Like there was really nothing that kind of like was like, okay, I can see why these guys are like so in love.
She's just like, don't bring me flowers. Don't bring me flowers.
Yeah, that was out of nowhere.
Yeah, she was toxic. She was kind of toxic.
But then she's like, you have to have sex with me right now.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, she'd give him like booty calls. Be like, hey, like
that was about it. And then they'd talk afterwards.
Yeah.
Weird, man. That was weird. Honestly though, like my least favorite character wasn't even her. It was Kitty, man. I did not like Kitty at all, dude.
I didn't like
she
her.
She was awesome.
Dude, I thought she was such a pain in the ass. I
didn't think it was that big a deal.
She redeems herself at the end, but dude, throughout probably 80% of the movie, dude, I just disliked every time she was on the screen.
Really?
I agree. The only redeeming quality she had was being stern in that interview. Every other period in the movie, she was just like, Oppenheimer, you're a pussy. You're a pussy.
The part that pissed me off the most was when they had their child, and that he is always busy at work, and he would come home that one day and she was just drinking liquor, and the child was crying like, dude, get out, bro.
Her main character trait was a raging alcoholic.
I do not have any respect for that at all.
Again, devil's advocate though, it could have been like mentally taxing, on her just having to stay home and like be sort of forced to watch the kid. And I know like especially back then, that's sort of the stereotype. And that's fair, but also really like just because that's a stereotype back then doesn't mean that she had to be like okay with it, And like you could tell the first time we met her that she was sort of like a free spirit and like didn't like to be held down in a cage. So it makes sense why she was doing that. And like, I mean, by no means am I saying that that's good, but that's just.
But to counter that, she's been through like 3 or 4 husbands before Oppenheimer. What do you think happened in those marriages? I mean. She probably had similar personality traits, and things just probably went to shit.
Yeah, no, and that's why I think she was like drinking during that. Yeah. Like that gave evidence, and it like made sense. And also, she could have left Oppenheimer if she was really that unhappy, but she stuck by his side, and even though she was kind of annoying and, like, calling Oppenheimer, like, a bitch for not really fighting, like, she ultimately stuck by his side and then gave one of the best testimonies in the end. I also am a big fan of Emily Blunt, and I thought she did a good performance.
No, the acting was great, but, like, the way that, I don't know, I feel like she didn't really have, like, she always was calling him, like, a pussy and everything, but Oppenheimer didn't really adapt to what she was saying. He would just kind of go on his own. Like during the tribunal, he just relayed all of his thoughts to the I don't know, like the people in the court, I guess. Not really a court, but yeah, I feel like she just
the committee.
That's right. I feel like she just didn't have that much of an impact on just what Oppenheimer was doing on the daily. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, I think both of those love interests should have just been fledged out like just a little bit more. Just a little bit more. Because like Emily Blunt to me was just the raging alcoholic that would just call Oppenheimer a bitch, and Florence Pugh was just
the toxic ex.
Yeah, she was the toxic ex. She was supposed to be communist, but that didn't even really like add up much. She was just like she was just called communist, but she didn't do anything with it.
Yeah.
There's no evidence of that at all.
I feel like at the end, it sort of came down to. I mean, Christopher Nolan has never really been known to write romance in his movies. I guess aside from like in Inception. Leonardo DiCaprio's like whole relationship with like his wife and his family is a big portion of that movie, but he doesn't really portray that well in his movies, and I feel like he just maybe I could be wrong. Maybe it was one of his favorite parts to put in the movie. I feel like maybe he just felt obligated to put that portion of his life in the film because he was making it about his life. I think there's no question. More of the focus of the film is about the bomb. And how that impacted his psyche.
If that's the case, man, then that scene where they're like photoshopped into the tribunal and Kitty's just looking at them naked. That dude, he meant like he wanted.
Yeah, he wanted that to be powerful because
you can't just be that bold and put that in the middle of the movie.
Yeah. At first, it was jarring, but when we talked about it in the car on the way back, like it makes sense because it's supposed to be jarring. You're supposed to be like, whoa, like what the fuck? And you're kind of getting that realization with Kitty, like, wow, like they were really like, he was like really like in love with her and really had strong feelings for her. And that was kind of emphasized by that, as jarring as it was. Like, one other thing one other thought that I had that I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on without getting too deep, into politically things is that like, I definitely think after watching this movie that we probably made a mistake in dropping the bomb in general.
Agree.
Like, I don't really... After seeing Oppenheimer's reaction, the guy who literally developed it, I like... there was only more harm done than good. And, I know it's a really divisive topic. I've been divided on it, but I think that this movie's, like, staunchly put me on the side of, like, we shouldn't have done that, and it probably caused more harm than good overall.
Well, I think for one, the movie was like I think that was what it was trying to portray. So I think it was like trying to lean you towards that side. Two, I don't think like atomic bombs are good. But then three, I think it's inevitable. At some point, like the arms race is like you can't like America can't take just like a reactionary side to developing the most harmful weapon because they're gonna need it in arms negotiations. So I think it's almost inevitable. I mean, they portrayed like in the movie where like, there were scenes where, like we have to get this bomb created because like the Soviets have info, like the Nazis have info, and I think without creating that bomb, there would be no way to have like an arms talk. Because if the Nazis had it, they'd probably just drop it. Especially if they knew we weren't at the same like level as them. They'd just be like, okay, let's take over the world. Soviets, dude, they probably do the same thing. They'd be a bit more sly about it, but they do the same thing.
I mean,
so I think for one, maybe in terms of like dropping it, I don't think they needed to drop 2 nukes.
Yeah,
definitely not.
I mean, I didn't. The first nuke could definitely be debated, but the second nuke, I definitely don't think needed to be dropped because they already demonstrated their power. But I think it is inevitable that nukes would be created.
And it's such a tough situation. I think ultimately that we can the only thing we can do now is just look at it and say like never again. Like we really there should be no, unless, God forbid something awful happens on a global scale, we should not need to use any sort of bombs in the future. And
that's the hope.
That's the hope, and that's the whole reason why history is like so important in our daily lives, because we see things like this happen and see the pain and suffering that it caused, a nation, and
let's not let history repeat itself.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think the movie definitely was trying to sway every viewer to the side of no more nuclear warfare.
Yeah. Oh, I mean the ending was. That left me shook, man.
One of the main reasons why they dropped the bomb was one of the reasons why they were for it was because it would hypothetically save more lives, because the war could have gone on for a lot longer than they
could have. Yeah.
That is one of the other outlooks, I guess you can say. But it's rough. I'm glad that we didn't get any reenactments of the Hiroshima and Nagasaki's out to ruin the movie.
I'm glad we weren't
so
in charge.
Interesting. Yeah. I do want to briefly bring up, we were at after the movie, I saw this tweet, and this reporter basically said that they thought that the fact that the film did not depict the actual bombings happening, it's going to lose out on winning Oscars, because they felt that it didn't correctly display the impact of the bombs. I completely disagree with that. The whole point of the movie, one, was that it's from Oppenheimer's perspective. So the whole point is that you're supposed to see that he created the bomb and then it's completely out of his hands. Yeah, and he regrets it. Exactly. And then also there's the whole scene where he goes into the rally, and this movie almost becomes sort of a horror film where, people's faces are getting burned and he's stepping in ashen bodies and you hear screaming.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
white. The skin is blinding.
I thought that was a perfect representation of the horror.
He was almost hallucinating. He was almost experiencing hallucinations just from just the sheer trauma that he experienced.
Yeah. I did also want to bring up the ending. And just
can I talk about one thing before the ending real quick?
Yeah, sure.
While we're on the topic of morality, basically, there's one point in the film where Truman invited Oppenheimer just to I guess thank him and just talk with him about it was after the bombs were dropped, so Oppenheimer was not feeling the greatest about his decisions. But they had a talk, and basically Oppenheimer said that he has blood on his hands, he killed all those people, and then Truman's no, how dare you say that? I'm the one that made this decision. You did nothing but make the bomb. I'm the one that delivered the bomb. Yeah. And I thought that was interesting because, I don't know about you guys, but if I was in that situation as Oppenheimer, I would feel so much like I had that responsibility. I was the one that killed all those people. I don't know about you guys, but that's just what I thought.
It's equally, for sure. Because, ultimately it goes hand in hand. Oppenheimer made it, Truman sent it.
But it's different between, he literally invented it. It was not even thought of. Yeah. They were working on things similar like that, but all those physicists, they had all banded together around the world to start talking about that stuff. He had gone to Germany, and German scientists had just traveled around the world. But that was not even that wasn't even up for debate 20, 30 years ago. They were talking about theories and stuff, but to actually put that into existence, I think that was just what made him just completely break down. Because he was oh man, this can just end the world. Literally end the world. Yeah.
And Gary Oldman was phenomenal. He was in the movie for 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Him, Casey Affleck too was in the movie for 2 minutes. As General Parth, he was great too. Yeah. All the entire cast, top to bottom, again.
It was great.
It was just insane.
It was great. The ending. Throughout the movie, Einstein's main role is that he comes to Einstein with this potential theory that before they developed the bomb, it's a possibility that when the nuclear bomb goes off, it creates a chain reaction in the atmosphere and just engulfs the whole Earth in explosions, and the whole world ends.
I almost forgot about that.
And so it's a whole plot point. It's it's next to zero.
Yeah.
It's not gonna happen. And then at the end of the film, Oppenheimer reapproaches Einstein. You see the conversation earlier in the movie, but you don't hear what he says.
It's from Strauss's perspective.
Yeah, and that's a whole other important plot point
Yeah,
in the movie.
yeah.
But essentially, he's like Einstein's like, what ended up happening with that idea of the chain reaction like engulfing Earth, and Oppenheimer's like, I think it happened. I think I made the chain reaction, and then you basically see his vision that he believes he's just created the apocalypse. Yeah, essentially.
I mean, he created like a new world.
Yeah, which is just
that big of an invention.
That really leaves you shaken. Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
and Albert Einstein is visibly shook too.
Yeah.
Like again, that conversation was so important on so many levels.
Yeah, and completely, it's like all of half the movie's plot is influenced by that conversation.
Because Einstein walks away and he's visibly shaken, and then he bumps into Strauss, who thinks that they were talking about him.
Yeah.
And that sets Strauss on the path to destroy Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
And it's just like so important on so many levels.
Mm-hmm.
And a perfect way to end it. It was a perfect way to end it, just with his face and like his eyes closing. It was just like, that was all we needed to see. Yeah.
Do we want to give scores?
Ratings?
I think we give ratings. I guess I'm starting this off, guys. I don't know if you guys are gonna have higher or lower. I think right after I came out of the theaters, I was sitting at like a high 8, like 8.7, 8.8. But man, I've had the whole day to think about the movie, and every time I just sit down and think about it, there's more and more like different different like subplots that I remember and I appreciate more. And I think it just ties together completely well. Still, I don't rate this as his best film, as Nolan's best film, but I think I'm gonna sit at a 9.3 rating.
All right, just
a pretty solid.
That's a very good score.
I gave it a 4.5 on Letterboxd. I couldn't commit to a 5.
Yeah,
just not a perfect movie in my eyes, but very, very good.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, I think I stated why I enjoyed it so much earlier, but I'm just gonna give my score. I thought it was a 9.5.
Oh, there we go. That's high, man.
Visually stunning. The story was immersive, and I think honestly, just like discussing it here and earlier today when we were in the mall and kind of just talking about it after it, I think it also threw me into the movie more and pointed out different plot points that I didn't see. So I give it a 9.5.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go 9.5 as well. I think it's nearly perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, I feel like even the parts we complained about are sort of nitpicks. To be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but that's what we do, man. That's what we do.
I loved the movie. Yeah, 9.5.
Yeah, I'm sitting at a 9.4. Yeah. I'll be a little different.
I'm the lowest one, y'all.
But again, part of the beauty and part of why I'm rating it so high is because when we've talked about it, it's just aged better and better.
Yeah,
when we were talking about it and how our different perspectives watching it kind of influenced how we all interpreted things, and I think that's a sign of a great movie.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I'm gonna record the first ever official Arctic Circle average movie rating.
Oh!
It is a 9.43.
Woo! That's a good score.
That is. That's really good.
That's gonna be a hard one.
That's really good.
See how Barbie does.
All right.
I don't know.
Let's,
Barbie.
Let's go backwards this time.
Backwards?
Let's transition into Barbie.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts.
Barbie was great. It was a lot of fun.
Wait, let's talk about Barbenheimer first.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so Barbenheimer, we had an hour and a half break in between the two. So we got out of Oppenheimer. We went. We had lunch. We shopped a little bit and kind of all mentally recuperated from what we had just seen in Oppenheimer.
That's what Von Moore was for.
Yeah, Von Moore. Yeah.
Von Moore.
Yeah. But and then we found our way into Barbie. Not 70 millimeters, so it was weird.
It was so weird.
It was weird. The screen was so small, and we were also kind of far back in the theater.
It was a huge
we were row S. We were row S, so we weren't even the last row.
No, you weren't.
And it was a pretty good seat, but also coming straight from Oppenheimer, it felt like we were miles away from the screen.
And it was a fourth of the size of Oppenheimer. It was just a fourth of the corner out of the IMAX
and there were
theater we were in.
There were a bunch of groups with custom made Barbenheimer shirts.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It was wild, man.
A lot
The
of
amount
Barbie merch.
Yeah, dude, and a lot of pink. There's a lot of pink in that theater.
And one thing too, Regal Cinema, Mall of Georgia, was trying to screw us over by, like, the movie started and the lights were on. They didn't shut off the lights until like the credits were like halfway done. Like the opening credits were halfway done.
I saw some guy walk out of the theater. He must have gone and like told someone like, please turn off the lights.
And instead of them dimming, they just like went off like immediately. And people were talking like too, because I don't think people realized that like this was the actual movie starting because there were no previews either. Yeah. So that was like an interesting start to the movie.
Yeah.
But overall, it was really fun.
It was a very different movie. It had different intentions, different goals.
Yeah. Coming out of it originally, I thought like, okay, like this is exactly what I was anticipating it being. But then the more we talked about it on the way back from the game, it subverted expectations.
Yeah.
I definitely think that Barbie's relationship with her human companion, I assumed that it would have been a girl, and it ended up being the mom. I thought that was cool. I wasn't expecting the things with Ken, with Ken to sort of bring back this patriarchy ideology back to Barbie land. I wasn't expecting that to happen.
It's so weird.
And I was expecting it more to be like, Barbie goes to the real world, learns a lesson, like blah, blah, blah. But they really interacted a lot more in Barbie land than I thought they would.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that, and that I wasn't expecting it. So, and again, like, the cast was great. Ryan Gosling, his performance was awesome. Margot Robbie, I mean, she is my Barbie. She's my Barbie, dude.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, and then Simu Liu, Michael Cera, his character was so funny.
Michael Cera was great.
Kate McKinnon was funny. Yeah, America Ferrera was good.
Dude. Kate McKinnon was awesome.
Yeah.
Weird Barbie.
And all in all,
awesome, dude.
All in all,
she was just doing the splits the whole time.
Yeah,
like
but it was like a perfect metaphor. Like everybody's heard of that, like doll or toy.
I love SNL.
I
couldn't stop thinking of SNL whenever she appeared. It was so awesome.
Me too.
And I definitely think that it was a good satire. Like, I think that at times it was a little too much in your face of like boom, like this is social commentary, like boom, like where they'd like explain it. So I think that was a little too much in your face, but for the most part I thought it was really funny and done pretty well.
Yeah. I had a really great time watching it. I had a smile on my face pretty much the whole time. Honestly, like you said, like I'd say for the most part you get what you want with the trailers. If you're expecting like a goofy, like fun movie that's also pretty smart, that's exactly what you get. Like the whole, there's a whole sequence in Barbie Land at the start, and it's just like it's all just like stupid, dumb jokes. Ken's job is beach. Yeah. That's just what he does.
Olympus Beach.
And like you could see that it's like the whole point is that it's like all the dolls are being like played with by a girl. So like they don't walk out of their houses. They just fall off their roofs because the child's just picking them up and playing. I thought that was cool. Ryan Gosling, like literally every time like he had something to do. He was hilarious.
Dude, he's never put up a bad performance.
I think it was very cleverly written. I do think I agree with Charlie. Sometimes it was a bit too on the nose, where it was too satirical. Yeah. Like too far, like, they break the fourth wall a lot in the movie, and it's just like, okay, we get it.
Which is funny sometimes, but sometimes it's like, okay.
Yeah. No, but I loved it. The music was pretty good. Yeah. I liked a lot of the soundtrack. A lot of dance numbers, which were just like all the Kens dancing. The original Ryan Gosling Ken song is great. We listened to it on the way.
We were listening to that. Dua Lipa's song is a banger. And the Ice Spice Nicki Minaj song, like Nicki Minaj spits in that song. She raps really well in that song.
And the one thing I love movies that get like kind of existential, and it does. That was the one thing I was hoping for going in, and they get into like what it means to be like human and what it means to like be alive.
Yeah, I figured they were gonna do
I love that.
really.
I I had a good time.
Yeah, I also enjoyed Barbie. I loved the comedic value that it brought.
Mm-hmm.
I think honestly, like counteracting your points, I think the satire or like the satirical parts, like there were a lot of them, but I don't think they went too far. I think Barbie was a very easy movie to kind of mess up, make cringy, just have the comedy fail. Yeah. And I was laughing the whole time. Yeah. Like they were able to maintain my attention, maintain like good humor, kept me laughing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's like part of the storyline. I mean, I think it's also the actors that brought that comedy to life. I don't think it would have been the same without them. But I personally don't think it flopped in really any parts. I thought it's a Barbie movie, so it's kind of meant to be like bad in like a good
it's meant
way.
To be cringy.
It's meant to be cringy.
Yeah.
And I think they did that really well. I had not watched the trailer going into it, so I had no idea what to expect.
I have to ask, what did you like when the movie was starting? Where did you think it was going to go?
I had no idea. I was just there witnessing it.
We were at the food court after Oppenheimer. We were talking about the Barbie movie, and I think one of us asked Alex, like, "Do you even know who's Barbie?" And you were like, "Is it Margot Robbie?"
Well, you didn't know Ryan Gosling was in the movie at all.
No, not at all. Not until you guys told me. Yeah. Like I said, I had known nothing. Even the same with Oppenheimer. Like I knew nothing going into it. Mm-hmm. I kind of preferred it that way. I just get to like witness it unfold in front of me. Yeah. So
it's a fun way to watch movies for sure.
Yeah, everything is kind of like out of the blue. It keeps me on my toes. Like I said, I don't think the Barbie movie had any like failures to it. I think the cringy value can be overlooked, but at the same time, it doesn't necessarily need to be overlooked because I think it was done well in its own way.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fair.
And like you guys were saying, Ryan Gosling was awesome.
Yeah.
He brought patriarchy and horses back to Barbie world.
What was the name of his house? Like
the Macho Dojo Casa House.
Yeah, like the
Mojo
Dojo Casa House. Yeah. And every time they would do like a panoramic shot of like that cul-de-sac where Barbie lived, there would be like 10 TVs, and on every TV was the same horse running. It wasn't even different shots of horses. Yeah. It was just the same on every one.
And dude, like the line, it gets me every time. And this was in the trailer where Ken's like, "Barbie, could I stay over tonight?" And she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Cause we're girlfriend boyfriend." Like just the way he says it. The way he says it is just so goddamn funny. It's like the way he says it.
Yeah, like, I don't know. And she's like, "To do what?" And then he's like, "I don't even know."
He's like, "Cause we're girlfriend boyfriend." Like the sexy Squidward face.
They were basically adult children.
Yeah,
they were.
That lived in a perfect world.
I also love the part at the end where Ken is like, as soon as I found out that the horses weren't the main part of the patriarchy, I kind of fell off the wagon. He just loves horses.
I just don't understand how he goes to Los Angeles and like one of the first things he notices is just like there's just two guys on horses.
He loved it. He loved horses. Yeah.
Wild, dude.
Did y'all notice too the mug shots where Ken just looks like so like happy? Oh yeah, his mug shot. Yeah.
Barbie's like thing said Barbies, and then Ken said "and Ken" on it. Yeah, he didn't just say Ken.
Yeah.
Oh, I can give my initial reactions real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm on Alex's side, man. I thought the satire was not overdone. I thought it was done. I mean, it was done very heavily, but I think it worked. I think that's what Greta was going for.
Yeah,
that's fair.
It totally played out perfectly, in my opinion. I mean, you can just see from the environment that we get immersed into. It's just the set that they've built for these Barbies, and it just looks so ridiculous.
It has to win production design. There's no way this movie does not win 100%. Production.
They created an excellent Barbie world, and I don't know much about Barbies, but I'm assuming every object in that Barbie world is like a toy that has been created. Or for a
100%.
Yeah, and I thought the transition from Barbie world to the actual world was so bizarre that it actually like worked.
Yeah,
You have to travel through like 6 different modes of transportation to just go from Barbie world to the real world.
And it was hilarious.
It's like, why?
It was hilarious how they showed too, like when they were rollerblading through the park. They showed the set like coming together, like the cardboard coming together. And it was that was. I thought that was so funny, rather than just cutting it off,
dude. Yeah. And y'all haven't mentioned Will Ferrell's character.
Oh, he was
funny.
Because the part, dude. Every time he was on the screen, I swear, I just could not keep myself from laughing. The part where they're chasing after Barbie and Ken, and they have to go through like the 6 different transportation, and they have to start off rollerblading. You just see like 20 full-grown men in suits rollerblading down Venice Beach. Yeah. Like, what the hell is going on, dude?
Yeah. He had like a little horde too. He was like the boss, and he had like 10 minions. They would all be like, yes, like, at the same time.
It reminded me a little bit of like those like cringe ads, like video game ads, like Mafia Boss level 50. It was like NPCs going over there, dude.
Yeah, and his role was perfect in that, like, again, expectations going in, he was going to be the big villain. He ended up being a lot of comic relief. That was perfect. It was perfect because Josh, like you said, every time he was on screen, he was doing something funny.
Yeah,
and it was perfect. Yeah.
Let me just finish off real quick, and then you can start segueing. When they talked about, like, Colin, you mentioned it, but the whole question of like humanity, like appreciating humanity. I didn't think it would get that deep. It got pretty deep for a Barbie movie, man. Like they started talking like near the end when they have like a Harry and Dumbledore moment.
Yeah,
in the white. It was straight out of the Deathly Hallows Part 2. I'm telling you, man. But they just like she experiences the memories of like one human being.
Well, no, you know what I actually saw?
Oh, did you look something up?
That's footage from all of this like cast and like crews. Like
that's what I thought. Yeah. Awesome. I kind of thought that watching it because I remember like seeing like different like. You know, obviously, like people of different like ethnicities. So I was like, maybe that's a cast. Like maybe those are the
it was like the crew
that's
members.
Really cool.
Yeah, I couldn't tell because
that's so sick.
Yeah. The resolution was so bad on some of those videos.
Well, it was like home videos.
Yeah, no, I just couldn't tell. That's a really good touch, honestly.
Yeah.
But no, just the whole like. Just the whole appreciation post. We love a little appreciation post for humanity, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I really liked the scene where she's on the park bench next to the old woman.
Yeah.
Because you think she's never seen, like, what an old woman looks like. And she's just like, you're beautiful. I was like, damn.
Dude.
That was really nice.
Yeah,
the old woman was funny. Like, I know.
Yeah.
It's like, go off.
That was awesome.
Be confident in yourself. Hell yeah.
That was cool.
Let's go.
This movie definitely, like, referenced so many famous movies. Like, at least I was picking up on
they did.
Like,
they did.
It was
2001.
2001, that was a big one.
No one caught it, but man, I was mentioning the Lorax, all right? Just sue me, but I was mentioning the Lorax. The weird Barbie was up in a little Loraxy building, and so they had to like climb all these steps to this like secluded building.
Yeah, true.
And it was near the start of the movie, which is similar to the Lorax because that happens near the start of the Lorax. And I don't know, that just kind of hit me like immediately. I was like, wow, that's the Lorax right there. And she was just so funky, dude. Kate McKinnon, man, she was great. I think she was one of my probably top three favorites in that movie. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, man, I haven't laughed that much watching a movie in a while.
Yeah,
I'm really thinking about it. I was, like, actually, like, audibly laughing in the theater. And that just, I rarely ever do that watching a movie
me
in the
too.
theater.
Yeah. I thought Asteroid City that we saw recently was extremely funny, and this one surpassed that. I was like,
I agree. Barbie was funnier.
Way different humor.
Barbie was funnier.
It was still humor, though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Barbie was more slapstick humor, seemed like.
Just hit you across the face.
John Cena being the mermaid Ken too. That was phenomenal, and that wasn't in the trailers at all or anything.
Yeah,
that came out of left field. That was phenomenal.
Dua Lipa's a fan favorite of ours, so we were big fans when she popped up. And there's one scene where like Dua Lipa's like the mermaid Barbie, and John Cena's like the merman Ken.
Yeah.
And she tells like Ken, she's like, "You're like my big boy" or something. And Alex is like, I wish I was her big boy. I like whispered that during the movie.
Yeah,
like, man,
that was gonna be. I was gonna say
weirdo, man.
I love Dua Lipa, dude. I love Dua Lipa. Yeah, I was keeping a vigilant eye out for her in that movie. I was sad that she did not get more lines. However, from the one line she did have, I could tell she was not a great actor.
Yeah, but
she was not a great actor.
They asked her to write a song, and they just said, "All right, you can be in the movie."
That's what I think. Yeah, I think they had her
much.
make the song first, and then they're like,
Most of the time, she was just sitting there like waving.
Yeah. Hi, Barbie.
Hi, Barbie.
Do we want to get into
I was gonna
the
mention
main plot point?
I was gonna mention something about the plot.
I think it's probably what you're gonna.
Yeah,
mention.
so we were walking out of the theaters and we went to see it with our buddy Luke, and the first thing he said was that it is anti-men, and we just want to I think we could just talk about like the feminism of it, and if we agree with Luke's statement. I thought it was I actually thought that would be an interesting thing to bring up on the podcast, just because I could see people viewing it that way. But I don't know, man. I don't think it was that deep. It was so satirical, and it was so made to be like this thing that's shouldn't be taken seriously, but also, should be kind of paid attention to, but not overlooked in any way. Mm-hmm. And I think that looking at I just didn't think it was trying to get that political in any way.
I think it was definitely a pro-feminist movie.
I agree.
I wouldn't say it's
agree.
anti-man.
I agree. I completely agree.
I think they poke fun at both sides too throughout the movie.
Luke and I were talking about it after you guys had left. Luke and I were talking about it, and I can see where it has its anti-men qualities to the movie. I think they kind of there's no man in the movie that is self-aware or intelligent.
Hey, Will Ferrell, man, he's a genius.
He's the least self-aware character in the movie, probably.
Yeah. And somehow he's probably still one of the most self-aware characters.
Yeah, true.
And I don't think it was anti-men. I think it was certainly pro-feminist.
Yeah.
But I don't think the movie was trying to downplay men. I think it was trying to more so take a past viewpoint that Barbie was this perfect girl that girls should kind of almost strive to be be your perfect self, get all gussied up and do this and that. I think they were able to repurpose that image into through using kind of the feminist movement. They were able to repurpose that image into okay, be your perfect self, whatever that looks like. Be your true self, live up to who you are, and whoever that perfect self is to you, strive to be that. And we all have our pitfalls along the way, but just keep persevering.
I also think that, I was noticing this as we were finishing the movie, but the Barbie world is supposed to be run by Barbies, because Barbie came before Ken.
Yeah.
And so looking at that and trying to reflecting it on modern society, men started to do a lot of the more industrial jobs before women, so it's kind of backwards in the Barbie world, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the whole point of the movie, is to show that when the Barbie world gets mixed up with the real world and the men become empowered in the Barbie world, it just does not work. Nothing clicks, nothing flows. It's just got to be back the way it is. Yeah. And I think that was another thing that Greta Gerwig did a good job at just kind of pointing out.
I have one more point to add to what I was going to say. I think that by trying to repurpose Barbie into what I was talking about, I think that the best way for them to go about that and highlight that was by downplaying the men's side of the movie, because it's not about them.
I agree. I agree.
It's Barbie and Ken. I know they were repurposing that at the end to it's Barbie and it's Ken.
Yeah.
But I think it wasn't about Ken, and it wasn't about
it's the Barbie movie.
The men.
Yeah, it's about Barbie.
It's about Barbie.
And at the end of the day, the main focus is on female empowerment. Mm-hmm. And I was telling them that this is the perfect movie you want to see with your daughter.
Oh, definitely.
I would whenever I would want to watch that with my daughter and be you can do whatever you want to do in life.
It'd be a vibe.
Mm-hmm.
Like this Barbie. Yeah.
I completely agree.
To defend Luke a bit, he didn't dislike the movie. He really enjoyed it. He just felt that some of it was anti-men. Mm-hmm. I will say, it can be men aren't the target audience, but I think it's for everyone. Mm-hmm. And I think that if you dislike this movie because you think it's anti-men, then you are just insecure.
Yeah.
Straight up. If you're going to take offense to the shit they say in the movie, get over yourself.
Walk out.
Like, seriously, get over yourself.
Walk out.
And in interviews with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, she was saying that like one of the reasons why she thought Ryan Gosling was the perfect Ken is because she's seen all his filmography and interacted with him and can tell that he's like very like confident in himself and his masculinity. Yeah. Because to play that sort of Ken character, he had to be really confident in himself as an actor and as a man to portray sort of a character with like a shallow like masculine.
That's a really good point.
A shallow masculine like character. And like, I mean, Ryan Gosling is like one of the best actors in today's society. So I think he did a phenomenal job.
Dude, that makes me respect that performance even more.
Yeah. Because think about it. Like, he was basically, even though he was one of the leads, he was a male starring in a female-led movie about female empowerment. If he wasn't secure about himself and his masculinity, then he could have easily gotten jealous and as an actor and not put in as good as a performance as he did, but instead he leaned into it, and it was really, really respectable and something that I'd probably try to take into my daily life and in terms of being like confident in yourself and like being confident like in ourselves as men. Yeah, we are Knuff.
Dude, Ryan Gosling.
They knew what they were doing.
Oh yeah,
they knew what they were doing.
Those shirts are gonna go off the shelf.
They knew what they were doing.
I searched them up online. Yeah, I couldn't find like the exact jacket that he was wearing or like sweatshirt that he was wearing because I was like Borg material.
Yeah,
but all the ones I've seen are like basic sweatshirt material.
You gotta patent it.
Shirt for like
patent it, dude.
I do.
Patent it.
Official Arctic Circle You Are Knuff shirt.
Yeah, coming soon. By the time this is released, they're gonna have the
check the merch store.
Yeah. Oh man. All right. Do we want to give ratings and then maybe talk about some stuff that, I wanted to talk about best supporting actor stuff between the two movies.
Yeah, we can do that after.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. After ratings.
So Charlie, you want to go first with the ratings?
Yeah. So again, I love the movie. I gave Oppenheimer a 9.4. Part of the reason why I gave it above of 9 is because it's really like you can interpret it a lot of different ways, and you can think about it. Barbie was good in that it wasn't a movie where you had to think about things, but to me it was more like easily digestible and stuff. And I still had a great time throughout it. Again, with the satire being a little much. At points, I still thoroughly enjoyed it, but I think that's going to put me at like an 8-9. I think that's what I'd put it. So
really high.
So still really high, but like I don't think it's enough to give it like a 9 in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I still really respect it. Greta Gerwig is a phenomenal director. Lady Bird I have rated around the same as that, to be completely honest, and I would have to think more about which I enjoy more because they were both phenomenal in their own right. So I'm sitting at an 8-9.
Going into this, honestly, I was going to give this a lower score than what I'm going to finish with. And just, discussing it and, realizing how much I just, enjoyed this movie, I think part of me wanted to give it a lower score at first because it doesn't take itself seriously, especially compared to Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't think that should hold it back. I just loved it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. Mm-hmm. I really enjoyed it the whole way.
Wow, y'all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I did not know what to expect to go into the Barbie movie. I didn't even know what it was rated. I didn't know if it was going to be like a kids movie or targeted towards a more adult audience.
Yeah.
But going into the movie and watching it, I enjoyed every second of it. My rating is a bit lower than Oppenheimer, but I think I enjoyed myself more during the Barbie movie.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a sucker for some laughs. I love to laugh during a movie.
Yeah.
I think Oppenheimer was phenomenal. It had its extraordinary moments and very well shot, but very serious. And I like I said, I'm a sucker for some good comedic value, and I think Barbie did that well. So I consider Barbie my favorite of the two, but in terms of rating, I think I'm going to give Barbie an 8.5.
That's actually a great way to put it. Mm-hmm. I had a much more fun time watching Barbie than Oppenheimer.
All right. Yeah, I mean, obviously we all had more fun time watching Barbie, but I can't give it higher than Oppenheimer. I gave it a 4 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and I'm gonna stick true to that. I'm gonna give it an 8.3, which is that's pretty good. Yeah. That's a great score for a movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, the reason behind that is I don't know. I thought some parts were just a little cheesy. Like I wasn't the right target audience in a way.
Yeah.
Just some of like I guess kind of near the end with just like you have to be who you are and that's good enough for you. It's just like I feel like that was meant for like a 15-year-old girl to hear. Mm-hmm. But you know, I still had a great time watching it. Mm-hmm. And the comedy was great. I mean, it was really really funny. And yeah, 8.3. I'm starting to give higher scores for movies lately. Maybe I'm just watching good movies.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is. These are two very good movies.
I was surprised how good both of them were.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a very very good day today.
I want to talk about these movies were hyped up a lot, and I think it's pretty amazing that they both lived up to the hype.
Yeah, I agree.
For me personally and critically, they've both had reviewed extremely well.
Yeah, wasn't disappointed at all. Could have easily been disappointed by one or both.
Yeah.
And overall, Barbenheimer was just an electric experience. Awesome. And something that we're probably never able to do in our lives again.
Yeah.
I mean, the odds of two, blockbusters coming out on the same day.
Well, Mamma Mia and The Dark Knight, they came out.
True.
True. Part of it's not just the fact that there are two blockbusters, but how different they are.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
And that could segue into that talk if you want to talk about Best Supporting Actor because I mentioned this
real quick. Second official Arctic Circle podcast movie rating average. I think I said that back. 8.68.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I'm not writing that down, but whenever this podcast airs, I'll re-listen to it. I'll make a note of it. And we start logging movie averages. This was our first official movie review podcast.
Yeah.
We've talked about movies. We've never actually reviewed them after we watched them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So with that, we can transition into Best Supporting Actor, Oscar nominations, and then we can start closing off.
Yeah, and literally, you could not get more different in Best Supporting Actor nominees from Louis Strauss, Chairman on Nuclear Arms versus Ken from Barbie. And yet both actors, I've been thinking about both performances in my head, and just each time I go one way, I swing right back to the other, and I'm just this other guy did so well. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is a big part of what made Oppenheimer as good as what it was, but also Ryan Gosling was too.
Yeah.
And it's just I have no idea at this point who I would vote for. And maybe if we talk about it, we can kind of come to a consensus. But both did such a great job with what they were given with, and both deserve an Oscar. But ultimately, only one of them will win.
Yeah, I think it will be one of them.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe someone else comes in and has an absolutely insane performance this year.
Yeah.
But I don't see anyone topping either of these.
We can do the same thing, give our initial thoughts, and then just go around and say who we thought was better.
Yeah.
As a rating.
That sounds good.
What's our time looking like?
Oh, it's been kind of close.
Hour and 12.
Damn. Do you want to just say 3, 2, 1, and then just rip off who we think is better, all at the same time?
Let's give our initial thoughts. We haven't given our initial thoughts, but yeah, we can.
I kind of did already, so y'all got
it. Keep it brisk.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I think. Like you said, both performances are completely different, but they, like you said, you kind of nailed it.
Don't give away who you're going to vote for.
Yeah. Okay, I will say I am also conflicted because I think that Robert Downey Jr. has deserved an Oscar for a while. Just for what he's done. And I will say the Oscars play that. They take that into consideration when they consider Oscars. If someone hasn't gotten one before and they've been nominated a lot, they consider that. And then, Ryan Gosling was just he was amazing too, and he's also been in so many amazing movies and hasn't. I don't know if he's ever been nominated. Maybe for First Man.
I'm not sure.
I don't know about nominations. Definitely has not won.
But Blade Runner, Drive, La La Land,
Blade Runner,
2049.
Oh, are you saying you're talking about Gosling?
Yeah.
Oh, word. I thought you said Downey Jr.
Yeah, Drive, La La Land. There's a few others. Yeah, he's awesome. I think both of them deserve one.
Downey Jr.'s been nominated for 2 Oscars. I can look up Ryan Gosling really quickly.
Yeah, I feel like if I start talking about who I think is better, I'm gonna give away what my answer is.
Yeah, that's why I have a pick. I do have a choice.
I definitely have a pick. I think they both did exceptionally well.
Gosling was nominated for 2 Oscars as well.
I think they both did exceptionally well. However, I think one of them did better to bring the movie to life than the other one did. I think one of the characters, if they weren't in the movie, it could have still been done. But in one of them, it couldn't have.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I know who you're gonna vote for.
Yeah.
But I'll just keep it super simple. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., man, he played a character that is very different from a lot of the characters he's played. And same with Ryan Gosling, honestly. I mean, Ryan Gosling has played in a lot of like dramatic romances before. So he kind of knows how that works, but Downey Jr., man, he had to adapt.
Yeah.
I have not seen him in that, type of setting where he's acting so intensely and seriously, and it just really made me have a whole like new appreciation for him as an actor.
Yeah.
And Ryan Gosling, man, like the way you were saying, Charlie, how he just was so confident in himself to portray that role, just adds to the respect that I have for him as a person, not really as an actor, as a person.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm not gonna say any more, but I know who I'm voting for.
Let's do 3, 2, 1, and then we'll say either you want to say like Strauss or Ken.
Okay.
So
right.
Whoever you choose, we should do that at the same time.
Okay.
Rip off the Band-Aid.
All right, count us down.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Ken.
Was that?
I think that was 3 Kens.
I
said Ken.
I said Strauss.
3 Kens.
Yeah.
Strauss.
Yeah.
Strauss.
Really?
Yeah.
Based on what he
No, yeah. I thought it was Ken too. Yeah.
Well, like Strauss was so important.
He was.
So
I'm choosing Ken
half the
because
plot.
I think it's more fun
So was
overall. I think it's more fun. Like
Yeah.
Downey Jr., I would not be mad at all if he won. He definitely deserves it, but I think Ryan Gosling doing as good a job he did as Ken from the Barbie movie, like I just think that would be such a fun Oscar win. So fresh and maybe something that can draw younger viewers into the Oscars and into cinema in general if Ryan Gosling as Ken would win.
Yeah.
So it could be good for movies in
I mean,
general.
it was not an easy choice.
No. And you can't go wrong. I don't fault you at all for choosing Robert Downey Jr. Yeah.
I was
Stick
like,
to your guns.
Yeah.
simply put,
Yeah.
I was like enamored by his performance. I just couldn't get enough of it.
Yeah.
Neither
He was
could I.
great. I just
Yeah.
like Stroud, like Robert Downey's performance was like spectacular, and he stole pretty much every scene he was in. But like, I couldn't get enough of Ken. He was hilarious.
Yeah.
Neither could I. I wanted Ken to be on the screen all the time. Every time he was on there, he was making me laugh.
Yeah.
That choreographed dance that he
his
had, I
dancing,
was dying during that scene.
And just his facial expressions.
Yeah,
Just like gold.
and like I said, that the Barbie movie wouldn't have been the same without him.
Nope.
I think Robert Downey Jr. is extremely hard to replace in Oppenheimer, but I think the movie still could have had as grandeur of an effect without him. Yeah. Or like replaced by someone equally as good.
I disagree with that, but I see what you're saying. Whereas I think Ken was more integral to like the main storyline of Barbie, where if you were to take both characters out, both movies would be drastically different, but the Barbie movie would not have been like nearly the same.
It's different
Whereas Oppenheimer still would have had his stuff on his own.
Ken lives in Barbie's world, and Strauss is kind of doing his own thing in the movie.
I think it would have been hard to replace, like even if we're talking about in terms of like replacing those actors, I think it would be near impossible to replace Ryan Gosling as Ken. However, I think someone else could do Robert Downey Jr.'s job. Not to the same degree, but it could be taken over.
I see what you're saying. I think I misinterpreted.
And
that's why.
That's why I thought Ryan Gosling as Ken was a better supporting actor too. I thought he was more integral to the story too. That's kind of what I was getting at.
Okay, I got you. I agree too.
Yeah, part of the reason why I chose Strauss was just because I was just loving every second he was on the screen.
It was so good.
He stole the show. When they were having the hearing and he was just having to like give all of his rebuttals about everything, I was just like, oh man, dude. RDJ he's locked in. He is
the GOAT. He is the GOAT, and he deserves an Oscar
his
as well.
versatility is just not being recognized, I don't think, by a lot of people.
No.
And it's just like, obviously Ryan Gosling is very versatile himself, but I think it's time RDJ bags one, and that's why I'm on Team RDJ.
Yeah, I would root for that to happen too. I'd be super happy.
Yeah, well, we are gonna close this off.
I will say
That was
super
great.
quick.
Yeah.
We actually never brought up Cillian Murphy once.
Did we not?
Oh my god.
We never even said his name. I think
Oh my
I will
God.
say I think both of the. I don't think we ever said.
I
his
think
name.
I
I
mentioned him
I think,
very
yeah.
briefly,
Okay.
but I didn't go like super in depth into him.
I was gonna say I think both of the lead, like Margot Robbie and Cillian Murphy, also deserve
Yeah,
Oscar nominations.
yeah.
I think that
100%. I mean,
Yeah, but the talk is
I-
more interesting for the
Well,
best
and
actor.
I think
I was
that
just gonna say, we
yeah,
never
like
even mentioned
Cillian Murphy is like an obvious best actor.
Yeah,
Like it's gonna take something monumental to
maybe Chalamet and Dune.
Yeah,
That's
Yeah?
the only one.
Yeah.
I think we kind of like overlooked those, and what we were talking about is because like they were just so stunning, just like outright that like
Yeah.
all
That's
of us,
it was
all
kind
of
of
us,
obvious,
all of us
like,
kind of
yeah.
knew that they were that
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that top tier.
Yeah.
But the listeners might get mad if we hadn't
Yeah.
touched on it.
I was
Yeah.
like,
Like, how can you
It's a
not
good point to
talk
make.
about
brought
this?
up like
Yeah.
the act, like the Oppenheimer performance.
Yeah,
at
that's
all.
what I was saying. Like between us, we know, but yeah,
Yeah.
for listeners,
Yeah.
maybe not.
Yeah.
So it was good.
Can't believe we went the whole hour and whatever not talking about
Almost
Cillian
20.
Murphy.
We basically recorded a movie.
We did.
Yeah.
We almost recorded the Barbie movie. Only 25 more minutes. You would have had it.
Yeah.
Let's just play the Dua
Yeah.
Lipa song on loop.
That's
the rest
just-
of it to fill in the space.
Oh, I
All
saw
the
Bad
time.
like the Barbie.
real quick.
Yeah,
I
nice.
saw-
Spice.
I saw a video. I think me and you, Colin, were talking about. Ben Shapiro released a review
Oh, Christ,
of Barbie,
yeah.
and it was 43 minutes. It's a 43-minute long YouTube video, and all the comments were like, "You know, it's bad when Ben Shapiro can basically make a review that's like half the size of the showtime, like just like how like off his views are from like everyone
Yeah.
else's.
Yeah.
he was
Yeah,
just
he's
letting
just
it.
Like
so,
you can talk about anything for a
He's just so
while.
out of touch with reality. Anyways.
Yeah, that was just like a last side note. I just thought of.
What a
yeah.
day to make out of Barbenheimer.
It was electric, July 22nd, 2023.
Yeah.
As we approach
It's
the
gonna be
wee
hard to
minutes
beat.
of the day,
Yeah, it's
will
gonna be hard to
forever be Barbenheimer Day, and it was incredible. It lived up to all of it. I
right,
appreciate
y'all.
y'all having me on.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
it was
again,
great.
that was-
Again, as
Everyone
yeah,
loves you, man. All the fans love you. They keep
yeah,
DMing
I
us.
dying
know.
for
All
you.
my millions of fans on threads.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
But we had
Yeah.
a fantastic Barbenheimer special episode for the start of season 2. We got exciting things to come. We may have another movie episode coming out soon.
Oh, we will. It's
Because we are gonna want to do a summer. What was our favorite movie we watched over the summer? And I think I've watched plenty of movies. Alex, you watched a couple.
Josh,
Whatever
we
you guys
watched
watched.
a ton.
Well,
Me
yeah,
and you,
me too.
man, yeah.
Yeah, so I have a
been
couple
cranking
in
them out.
mind. So that'll make for an interesting podcast. We're slowly becoming a movie podcast. Hopefully that doesn't.
next
stay.
episode we'll do something different.
Yeah,
I just get roped into whatever movies you guys watch and then I talk about them.
but yeah, we hope you guys had a good time with us. Hopefully the audio should come out okay. We are having some difficulties today, but next episode should be phenomenal auditorily speaking. So yeah, with that being said, my name is Josh. This is Alex, Colin, and Charlie. And we are the Icemen, not Charlie, just me, Colin, and Alex. We are the Icemen of the Arctic
I'm an ice sling.
Good point.
No, you're an ice. What was it?
Ice cube?
Ice cube.
Good answer,
He's
good
an ice cube.
answer.
He's an ice
Good
cube.
answer. Let's see if it's on the board.
Ice cube.
But we are the Icemen of the Arctic Circle. Thank you for listening and stay icy until next time.
Peace.
Good.